Danny, your silicon anode technology is breakthrough technology. It's my understanding that you can make the battery at a competitive price, and it actually increases the duration by 20%. Can you talk
Yes.
us through those critical points?
Yes. To start off with our manufacturing process as well as our inputs, while our competitors use one of the most expensive manufacturing processes as well as high cost inputs that are derived from the semiconductor manufacturing industry, we have completely innovated this manufacturing process. And also, when we use one of the lowest cost silicon raw materials called metallurgical grade silicon, and it's a 10 times cheaper option compared to what our competitors use. And we are confident to say that we will want to be one of the lowest cost silicon anode producers, providing to the downstream users, which include battery cell manufacturers as well as EV automakers, silicon anode materials that are 70 to 80% cheaper compared to what our competitors supply in the current market. And in terms of increasing the EV driving range, because we just use the silicon particles itself, we can enable 20 to 30% more EV driving range compared to current vehicles. While our competitors use different additives or materials with the silicon, which decreases the capacity for their anode materials, we just use the silicon itself. And this enabled us to realize that 20 to 30% increase in the EV driving range today.
How fast can a company, an automotive company, make a deal with you? Or do they have to change their entire infrastructure to use a silicon anode, technology versus what they have in place already?
No, the manufacturers do not need to change their infrastructure. And the best value proposition about silicon anodes is that it's very versatile. This means that silicon anodes can be thought of as an additive to be included into lithium ion batteries. So there are different types of forms or different chemistries of lithium ion batteries, but silicon anode can be implemented into any kinds of those batteries, which means that it can be implemented in any kinds of EV makes and models as well.
What kind of market do you have that you can step into right now with your technology?
Yes, so the silicon anode market is projected to reach around 15 to 20 billion USD by 2030. And this means that from 2020, the market was just 400 million USD. So it's going to grow about a 45% CAGR, a number that's quite unheard of in the industry so far. But this is what we are dealing with in the electric vehicle silicon anode market. And this means that in 2030, the global annual production of silicon anodes will be 300,000 tons per year, which means that that equates to 300 million kilograms of silicon anodes being produced in the price range of about 50 to 60 USD. However, as to emphasize again, our cost, we can just apply just to 15 to 30 USD per kilogram. And this is a huge game changer in the industry so far.
So what makes you more competitive than, say, your competitors that use more graphite, for instance?
Yes, so compared to our competitors today, their silicon anode costs go from 70 to over 100 USD per kilogram. And it's just not cost competitive compared to graphite, which just goes for about 10 USD per kilogram. However, using our manufacturing as well as input innovation, we can just apply to the downstream users that are just comparable with graphite. As I said, 15 to 30 USD per kilogram, as well as having higher capacity, increasing the driving range by more than 20 to 30%. These are the biggest two value propositions that Neo Battery Materials has for the industry so far.
And how can you handle orders right now? Can you tell us a little bit about your infrastructure, your supply chain, please?
Yes, so currently in South Korea, we have an R&D facility that is producing our silicon anodes batch by batch or per request by our downstream users, in which we are currently conducting 20 plus active material evaluation. However, in the first half of 2024, we are expected to complete the commercial plan, and this is the image behind me, and we are expected to realize revenues hopefully by the end of that year. So our inputs, it's very robust, and our demand also on the demand side is robust as well. So we're very excited on our commercialization process at the moment.
We had a couple of the major automotive companies at our Critical Minerals Institute Summit, and I was asking Jack why a company like a Ford or a General Motors, for instance, wouldn't just write you a check for any necessary capital cost you need to, it's my understanding, to expand so that you can deal with the deal demand right now. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. So the usual process for the battery industry, or more specifically, the battery materials industry, is that we send our samples to various US automotive manufacturers or German automotive manufacturers or other global battery cell manufacturers, and they integrate our silicon anode into their own battery system. And the catch here is that not all the battery manufacturers and the automakers use the same recipe. So we need to tweak our silicon anode to their liking and to their specifications. And this is what we are doing with the current active material evaluations that we have. And we're very excited to say that we are very close to a deal with battery manufacturers as well as EV automakers in the near term, which will act as substantial catalyst to neo battery material.
And so when these manufacturing deals come through, will you receive an injection of capital to meet their needs, or how does that work?
Yes, so the usual course of the deal to start off with joint development or collaboration agreements, and then they progress into strategic investment as well as joint ventures to construct additional and replicating commercial plants all across US, Canada, as well as Europe. So our first stage of our milestone deal would be those joint development agreements and collaboration agreements. And then we can expect some strategic investment.
One last question, because the reason we're doing this interview is for people out there who may be asking the same questions I was, which is, can you explain what makes your silicon anode technology so incredibly competitive?
Yes. So as I said, the main two value propositions that we have is supplying our downstream that is 70 to 80% cheaper compared to our competitors, as well as having a 70 to 80% higher initial energy capacity, which means that we can store 2 times as much capacity compared to our competitors. So these are the 2 points that our current testing parties, the global battery manufacturers, as well as EV automakers, are looking to implement our silicon anode into their battery systems as well as their electric vehicles as soon as possible. And we believe that these are the two competitive points that will drive demand and our reputation in the industry in the next 5 years.
For more information with Danny, please contact him at the following email address and/or telephone number. Thank you, Danny.
Thank you so much.